What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Linkletter, and today we are talking all about our Week 4 reactions here on Blitz Sports Media. We got four guests for you guys. We got Dan welcoming in, we got Brady, and we got Big Dale. All four of us are going to be talking Week 4 reactions for you guys. And let's start with our first tie. Oh my gosh, that game was absolutely disgusting. I'm going to start with Brady on this one. Brady, talk to me about this Packers game tonight and how bad the Packers might have been falling down power rankings here after the last 2 weeks.
Well, first off, I think the clock management by Matt LaFleur at the end of overtime was atrocious. It was like he was managing that game as if it was the playoff overtime rules where the possession is the end, not the clock. Like we
Yep.
saw with the Chiefs in Super Bowl 58 against the Niners, where remember, Chiefs were running out of time, but if time had expired, it would have just started a new overtime period until the end of their possession. It was like Matt LaFleur thought that that was happening. I'm sure he wasn't actually thinking that, but that's just how it appeared because they were so lackadaisical entering the huddle and getting the plays off. I mean, they ran the ball with like 45 seconds left in the overtime. It was almost as if they were content to tie that game. And it looked like the Cowboys were going to get a stop on that fourth down. Shout out to Jordan Love, gets it over complete to, I believe that was Matthew Golden over the middle who kept the drive
Yep.
going. And then Romeo Dobbs of the big catch later on in the drive. He had a huge game. But I'm kind of torn about moving the Packers down because what we did learn about the Packers, which I think we all thought was the weakness in the preseason, is that if the pass rush, which is great and has been great up until tonight, isn't getting home, the secondary is not good. The secondary, especially when Nate Hobbs went down, the secondary is barbecue chicken if this pass rush is not getting to the quarterback, which they were not tonight against the Dallas O line that is not as elite as it has been in years past. So that would be my concern is the Packers going up against teams with high powered aerial assaults that have really good pass protection. But at the same time, the Packers still put up 40 points. The offense looked really good. The offense was efficient outside of the Jordan Love strip sack. They looked really good. They've still got Jaden Reed on the way back at some point. Christian Watson will make his way back. And Matthew Golden seems to be getting more and more comfortable in the offense every week. So I think there's good and bad to take away from the Green Bay Packers here. And for the Cowboys, it hasn't been pretty. But at this point, you're 1-2-1. You're not dead in the water by any means. I mean, no one's catching Philly in the division, but you're still in a spot where early on you're not out of wild card contention.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is playing really, really well. And you put up 40 points tonight without CD Lamb. George Pickens had his best game as a Cowboy and had some really nice catches. So I think there's good and bad on both sides. But for Green Bay, I'll say I've had it this way pretty much the whole time, but they're the number three team in the NFC to me right now. I think they're a tier behind Philadelphia and LA, but I think right now they're the third best team to be reckoned with in the NFC.
Yeah, I thought it kind of exposed some things with the Packers. Obviously, last week they lost. It was more their offense not coming up big enough and the defense kind of struggling at the end. Their pass rush just did not get home tonight, and their secondary was just embarrassing almost at times. I mean, I think the perfect example is like that Jalen Tolbert catch down the sideline. Keyshawn Nixon doesn't hustle to even go make a play on the ball. He just kind of lets it happen because he thinks the ball is going out of bounds. Like those are the type of just effort plays that felt like the Packers secondary just wasn't even like they weren't like I don't know what it was. It was fatigue. It was they just were down guys. I don't know what it was, but it didn't even look like they were putting together like their best effort out there in the secondary tonight. And obviously, when you're not brushing the passer well, your run defense was okay tonight, but it wasn't as good as it was to start the season. Man, they really disappointing performance. Dale, I kind of bring it off to you here. Packers and Cowboys, right? You're a Cowboys side of things, right? The Micah Parsons trade was the biggest headline from this game. How good do you think Jerry Jones is feeling right now? And he's probably going to defend himself even more by making this move.
I can tell you how I feel. I don't know how he feel. He should feel like ass. Excuse my language, but um, I feel like tonight. So coming into the game tonight, the offense had put up 74 points, good for 10th in the league. We had given up 92 points, good for 27th. So that's negative. That's a negative margin already, and I feel like both sides of the ball lived up to just those stats. Um, I feel like Jerry should. every game has pretty much shown because even in overtime, that 4th and 6 play, they get it complete to Golden. That's Micah time all day, every day. Provide that pressure, make that splash play. I don't care that they've already put up 37 and we haven't been getting there. Blase, blase, blase. That's where special players make special plays. And that would have been a play, that would have been the time to unleash Micah and tell him go get it. Tell him to bring it home. So I feel like every game that goes by, Jerry Jones should feel worse and worse. Shouldn't get no sleep, nightmares, everything, the worst of everything in life, because it just doesn't
Damn.
it doesn't make sense. And I'm going overboard. I apologize, but it's a little frustrating because just watching him rush Dak Prescott, he saved the touchdown. He was the only thing that stopped Dak Prescott getting that touchdown and made us kick that field goal. If he didn't make the special play that I was just talking about and ran him down from behind. So it just goes to show that he let his ego overcome his football knowledge. He has some football knowledge because he's provided us with great rosters over the years. I know fans give him a lot of flack for that, but this was the decision that was just terrible. So, and I think every game that goes by, it proves it more and more, especially playing Micah himself tonight. Instead of making that play for us, he made a play against us, and we didn't lose, but we didn't win.
Yeah,
So,
you know what? Biggest takeaway for me on both sides of it, Brian Schottenheimer is a very solid coach. I think and what he's shown with the offensive side of stuff. I know the performance against Chicago wasn't great, but his mix of ground and passing attack, I really like right now. What I'm seeing from this offense. I mean, it's not just Dak Prescott dropping back and throwing 50 times.
Javante looks good.
Javante looks solid right now. I don't know if he'll hold up over the course of the season, but right now they're doing a great job of mixing in the ground with the aerial attack right now. It's working really well for them. And, last week was a really bad performance against the Bears, but this offense, has been pretty impressive in my mind to start the season. Let's get to the other big game of the week, Ravens versus Chiefs. Dan, I'm going to take this to you. What were your thoughts on this game? And obviously the Ravens lost 7 players throughout this game overall that were starters going into the game. So they are very injury depleted and now are 1-3.
Yeah, just like we talked about all week, man. Their defense is a concern, and they continue to lose bodies now, so it's only going to get worse. I think it's the first time they started 1-3 in 10 years, and yeah, I mean it's a tough game today. They had to go to Arrowhead, and just like we talked about in the preview as well, is Steve Spagnuolo has a good plan for Lamar Jackson and that Raven offense. So I thought the Chiefs played really well today, and then now they're 2-2, and or what are they? What 2-2, right? Chiefs?
Yeah, they're
Deuce.
Yeah, so yep. So now you never know that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to start to get healthy and watch out for them as well.
Yeah, I think I mean the defense, the first drive, right? I thought the Ravens had a really good opening script, and I thought the biggest thing that looked like they changed from the past games between Ravens Chiefs is a lot more screen usage from the backs in the early part of the game, and I thought, okay, that it's going to work well with what the Chiefs are doing in the past. They kind of went away from it a little bit, and obviously you can't call a halfback screen like 2 times a drive. It's not going to work out like that, but that was working for them. The offense was playing well. I mean, Derrick Henry was actually getting, good yardage on his runs to open up the game. And it kind of, the Lamar Jackson turnover with Leo Chenal making a crazy play when the Chiefs brought pressure, felt like after that play, the momentum completely shifted. The Chiefs offense was able to convert in the red zone. The Ravens offense had some turnovers, right? And I thought, going into halftime, the Ravens were still relatively healthy at that point. Lamar, just I think it was the fumble, and then Harrison Butker misses the kick. Ravens get that field goal. I thought that's when the game was going to start to get a little bit more competitive at that point, and it just never materialized that way. Brady, what did you see in that matchup?
Yeah, I think that the number one thing that stood out to me wasn't the injuries. It was the championship DNA. The Chiefs have it. Everybody knows the Chiefs have it. They show up for these type of games. Chiefs, hey, we're 1-2. We lost our first game in our house. Teams don't come into our house, Arrowhead, and take games from us. And we're not going to let it happen today. And they're resilient. They gave up that opening drive touchdown, like you said. They didn't miss a beat. Offense comes out and gets some points. Defense starts getting stops. Offense keeps getting points, and eventually the floodgates open. And it feels like everybody likes to talk about the Chiefs being a bad matchup for the Ravens. My take is that it's not even as much matchup based. I think so much of it is psychological, and I think it's that championship DNA I'm talking about. The Chiefs are mentally hardened. The Chiefs are not going to beat themselves. They're not going to make those mental mistakes and errors and the self-inflicted wounds. The Ravens, they seem to do it in every big game they play, especially against Kansas City. They've done it against Buffalo plenty of time. They did it against Buffalo week 1. They did it against Buffalo in the playoffs last year with those turnovers and the drops and the fumble. They did it today. I mean, Lamar Jackson with the intentional grounding, with the interception, with the fumble. Like Lamar Jackson, it feels like, yeah, I'm not going to say he shrinks in these big games, but it feels like he'll be great 70% of the snaps, but those 30%, it goes haywire and like it just gets too much for him. I think that the Ravens get outfoxed and outcoached way too often. I think John Harbaugh should be fired, won't be, but should be. He's been there a long time. He's had success, but I don't think he's the right guy to lead this team in this championship window. And Todd Monken, for some reason, when it comes to facing the Chiefs, just tries to do too much. He tries to get too cute. You mentioned all the screens, taking Derrick Henry off the field on every third and short, like trying to just play 4D chess. It's not working against Spags and Andy Reid. But aside from that, just talking about the guys on the field, the Chiefs look really, really dangerous. And I'm glad, even as someone that's been a Chiefs hater on this show before, did not give up on the Chiefs and say that they were cooked or something silly after the 1-2 start, the 0-2 start. They're still the best team in the AFC. Buffalo the past 2 weeks, they've struggled with Miami and New Orleans. They've got a really easy schedule. There's a good chance that they could get the 1 seed. We've seen Kansas City march into Orchard Park in January and win. Baltimore just got ran out of the building. The Chargers, they're the trendy pick right now in the AFC for a lot of people, and I do like them. I think they're going to be good. They've got a shot at the West, but they just lost to Jackson Dart and the Giants, his first career start. The Chiefs have shown people time and time again to not run their mouths too early. And time again, people keep doing it. I posted this on Twitter. I posted and said, everybody that thought after Super Bowl 59 in the first 2 weeks that the Chiefs dynasty was over, like, sorry to tell you, they're still really good. They're still the best team in the AFC. They still have the best quarterback in the league. They still have the best coach in the league. They're not going anywhere. They'll be playing probably at least on Championship Sunday. And I got flooded in my comments with, they're not the best team. They have 2 losses. They suck. The Mahomes is the best quarterback. And I got people calling Ryan. You'll find this funny because you've known me for a long time. They've got people calling me a Chiefs homer in the comments and tell me that I'm biased for the Chiefs. I'm like, no, I just see what's going
Chiefs
on.
homer. You heard it here first.
I just see what's going on, and they're the best team in the AFC. They're still the team to beat. It's hard to come into Arrowhead and beat them unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't know. We legit could be headed on a collision course for Eagles Chiefs Part 3 in a rubber match. I know it's early, but Chiefs, they're only on the up and up. Xavier Worthy looked awesome today. I'm gonna get off my soapbox here, but they've got Rashee Rice on the way back in Week 7 as well. So they're only getting healthier. They get better as the season goes on. Best quarterback, best coach. I would advise against not shit talking them.
Yeah, no, the thing, that's interesting is just the way the offense has worked the last 6 quarters has been a lot more of what I wanted to see from this group. It's a lot more RPOs. It's a lot more deep shots mixed in with early down runs. It's like everything that we've seen the Chiefs be successful at that they kind of went away from when they were in their slump. Obviously, you plug Xavier Worthy in, and life is a lot better. It's crazy how you add a good receiver and your offense gets better. Crazy part still is that Worthy led the team in rushing yards. It was better today from Hunt and Pacheco, but is it going to be enough from those guys?
Oh, and by the way, I took Mahomes MVP odds after Week 2, and I'm feeling really good about the value on that play right now.
You should be, because I think when they get Rashee Rice back, it's going to add a completely different element. Because right now you're seeing the outsides and the outside the numbers being really utilized with Xavier Worthy. Tyquan Thornton's really good over there. Only things you're really seeing over the middle is a older Travis Kelce and a Juju Smith-Schuster who only gets catches over the middle.
Look at the guys. Look at the guys that are being hyped up as like the best quarterbacks so far this year that have been great. Josh Allen is 10 touchdowns to 1 interception. Mahomes is 9 touchdowns to 1 interception. Justin Herbert, I think he's 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Like Mahomes after today, even with the bad start, is right there statistically with these guys. And like I said, they're probably about to go on some sort of streak where they win like 7 out of 9 games, 8 out of 10 games, something like that. Mahomes is going to be right in the thick of these conversations, and they're going to be battling for that one seed. That Bills Chiefs game in November, just like every regular season, is going to be very consequential on the playoff picture.
And
Yeah,
I agree.
I think it's going to be very interesting. Dale, why don't you wrap up Chiefs Ravens for this one? Actually, we do have to talk about the Ravens, so let's hear from you, Dale.
I was gonna say about the Mahomes MVP odds as well, real quick. That I agree. I think that it's the perfect storm. It's been the perfect amount of time since the last time he's won MVP. Everything that's happened since then, every year, everybody wants to write their obituary, and they somehow end up in the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. More often the Super Bowl lately, and I feel like with all the talks about Travis Kelsey, the comparisons to Tom Brady, and how okay he started off his game winning X amount of championships. It was this long before he went back, 10 years or whatever it was, and then he just started that second half renaissance of his career and everything as far as Super Bowls and stuff like that go. I just think that with all the narratives that surround the Chiefs, especially when they don't come out and dominate every single week, and Travis ain't going for 100 and Patrick ain't going for 400. I think this is the perfect year for him to kind of roar back and win the MVP. But going to the Ravens, I was thinking as you guys were talking composure. I feel like sometimes watching the Ravens, when they punch you in the mouth, if you don't go down, that just kind of surprises them. They're like, "Whoa, what do we do now?" You
Mm-hmm.
know, Derrick Henry. Why do you bring Derrick Henry in for any other reason than to beat a Chiefs? Why do you take him off the field? Why do you not play him and let him punish them and make them submit? You see what everything else isn't working, and you sign him for what? I don't care if he's not the highest paid running back in the game right now, whatever the case may be. You sign him for a specific reason. You're in the playoffs every year. You beat every team almost that isn't the Chiefs and the Bills. So why do you bring him in to get over that hump? And it's to me, it's just all I could think about when you guys were talking is composure. When they come out and the Chiefs, they used to it. You're not. So when you punch me in the mouth and I just stand there and kind of smile and shrug my shoulders, that scares you and that just listen like you see your level of play just decline. Things just you just start doing things that don't make sense. Everything from the players on the field to the coaching staff on the sideline. So it's just that stuck out to me big time. Of course, like you guys were talking about the injuries, turnovers, but all I can think about just for the whole team, from the coaching staff to the players, is composure. They don't know what it's like, and they want to beat this team so bad. They make the signings that make people talk about them beating these teams, but you just don't go out there and make the plays and keep your head in the game when it counts the most and you lose.
Yeah.
Ryan, I
What's
want
up?
to I want to take us to our next destination here, and it's Foxborough, Massachusetts. And I know it's the Panthers. I'm planting my flag on this. I was a little conservative in the preseason, had him pretty middle of the pack. I'm planting my flag on the fact Drake May is, it might be 10, but he is a top 10 quarterback right now.
Mm,
And you just see him getting better each week. And I feel like the biggest thing that we saw the first 12, 13 starts of Drake May's career is cutting out the freak turnovers and trying not to do too much when a play is dead. What really stuck out to me, I'm about to hit you guys with a pretty mind-blowing fact. Everybody knows EPA per play. Everybody's familiar with the metric, right? Kind of encapsulates a quarterback's individual value to the offensive success. Week 2, Drake May's performance was in the 96th percentile all time for EPA per play. His performance today was in the 99th percentile of all time for EPA per play individual performance. So he's had two master classes so far in 4 games in the season. Last week was a weird game for the Patriots. I know Drake technically had 2 turnovers. One got tipped at the line, but then he had the bad fumble that was 100% on him. Running backs fumbled 3 times. I know me, you, and Dan talked about this last week, but he looked really, really good today. The Patriots steamrolled the Panthers. I think a big reason why was Travion Henderson got the ball a lot more than he had the first 3 weeks, and he's starting to come into his own in his role. Stephon Diggs is only getting healthier. Had his first 100-yard game as a Patriot. Christian Gonzalez was back. He held Tedero McMillan when he was on him to 2 catches for 34 yards. I think the Patriots are the Raiders game and the Steelers game were tough, especially to lose both those at home. But you get a home win today against a team that felt like they were riding high, beating the crap out of Atlanta last week, 30-0. And if you're the Patriots, you're not upset about where you're at right now in terms of the. It feels like the realistic expectation for them was compete for the 7th seed, and it feels like they're going to still be in that race. They've got an opportunity to do something next week. I'm picking Buffalo, but they've got Buffalo in prime time next week in Buffalo. And you never know. Like I said, Buffalo has struggled the past 2 weeks with Miami and New Orleans, who are both worse teams than New England. So you never know. It could be, like Ryan likes to say, frisky in that one. But my takeaway, I know I'm biased. I really do think Drake May is the guy. I think New England still has a lot of roster things that they need to clean up, and they're not going to get to any mountaintops this season. But as a Patriots guy, I am very, very encouraged and very pleased with the guy that they picked third overall in last year's draft.
Yeah, I think you have to feel confident in what Drake May has showed to start the season, right? I think the biggest test that he's going to have to start the year is next week against Buffalo, Sunday Night Football prime
And
time
and
game.
remember, he last year in Buffalo was one of his best games of his rookie year. I think he had 4 big time throws, and Patriots were leading that game in the second half. So he's been in that environment and succeeded. But I'll let you continue. I just wanted to note that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their complete schedule, and we knew they were going to have a cakewalk to start the season or throughout the entire year. Basically, the tough defensive matchups that he'll see. Buffalo's a middle of the pack defense, but their championship experience they've had, they played in really big games, so it's going to be a tough matchup. And obviously, I think the Patriots and the Bills are the two teams clearly competing for that division title. So that's one I have circled. Browns is going to be a tough one. They seem to give a lot of people problems this year. That looks right around the trade deadline, so we'll see if that Browns defense is fielding the same team. The Falcons defense is giving some teams some fits this year. Looks like an improved unit. The Bucks defense has some flashes. They were inconsistent the first half today, but second half dominated. We'll talk about that later. But besides that, though, like I'm looking at their schedule, the Ravens maybe later in the season they figure some stuff out. There's not many defenses that scare me that Drake May and the Patriots have to face. And
10-7 is doable.
it is. It's very doable. Their schedule stinks. Like they can easily go on a run, and AFC East, like that's the thing with the Dolphins and the Jets. It's unfortunate both of them are 0-3 because the East has such a favorable draw this year that if you can split your division, you could easily have a chance at the playoffs, even if you're not necessarily a top tier or top 15 team roster wise in the NFL based on your schedule. For the Patriots side of things, with a younger offense, right, a little bit of vets mixed on that defensive side of the ball, like they have a legit chance of, going in there, Drake May making a solid statement this year as, he's breaking out. And I think it's a great thing that he does it this year and not next year because, next year is going to be that leap where Drake May sees, let's say, 10 good defenses in a year, 8 good defenses in a year. And this year he gets maybe a handful of good defenses. It feels like we talked about it kind of heading into the year as Drake May's stepping stone, the Patriots' stepping stone year. This wasn't the year that they were supposed to compete, but this is the year where you have to, see the improvements from this team. And I think at the end of this year, we'll look back on the Patriots and they'll be right around that 8 to 10 win mark. And we'll see that the offense and Drake May had games like, we've seen 2 of the 4 games where Drake May was hyper efficient. And, they lost the Steelers game because of just stupid mental errors. And we look back and like, okay, this Patriots team heading into 2026, they made even more improvements to the draft. They made some free agent moves as well. Why can't Drake May potentially be an MVP candidate? So
they're a top 12 offense right now in EPA.
Yeah, there is a lot of potential. I want to see it against these good teams. I can't wait for this Buffalo game because Buffalo, like you mentioned, they're not necessarily impressing me a ton right now. They're obviously 4-0. That's great, but hasn't necessarily been dominant performances.
Yeah, they're not lighting the world on fire since that Baltimore game.
And they weren't lighting the world on fire against Baltimore.
Well, offensively. Defensively, no.
They got outplayed, though.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, let's get to our next game here. And let's talk about one game that might cause a little bit of quarterback controversy. And it's the guy's background in the top right corner. Dan, Geno Smith.
I was like, where are we going with this?
Man,
No.
one of the biggest things that, I was not a big fan of this offseason was whatever team decided to go get Geno Smith and the Raiders happened to go get him and paid him a massive extension. I called it a move that's basically setting yourself up not necessarily for long-term success with the Raiders. Now, today, multiple turnovers, right? Ashton Genty breakout game was predicted. It happened, thank God. But Geno Smith's concerning me, man. And this division is not getting any easier throughout the next decade with Bo Nix. Obviously, he's been bad to start the season, but it looks like he's going to be the guy in Denver for a while. Justin Herbert has been really good throughout his career, and then it's still Mahomes. Are you concerned about Geno long term in this Raiders offense?
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned. I mean, through 4 games, he's got 7 interceptions. So he's not taking care of the ball right now. And I mean, that's why the Raiders signed him. They gave him 75 million, 2 years, and he was supposed to bring stability to the franchise. And he's through 4 games, he hasn't done that so far. I mean, today there was a winnable game at home against a bad Chicago defense, and he threw 3 interceptions. You can't do that. Just by like film study, I noticed that New England did a lot of man coverage, and he had a lot of success against that week 1. But like these other games, they're playing zone against him, and he's having trouble, like just reading the zone coverage. I mean, today Kevin Byard got him twice, and it was the same. He's just single high safety. He's playing zone, deep coverage in the middle, and he read Geno all the way. So I'm concerned right now. He just didn't look comfortable throwing the ball. He didn't look like he had any confidence today, throwing deep at all against this Bears defense. And yeah, it's very concerning right now because the Raiders can't run the ball. Besides against the Chicago Bears, so it's yeah.
I got a question for you. Do you think Chip Kelly and his system have anything to do with the early struggles against zone coverage?
It could be, yeah, because he's a college guy, and he's not just even like when he was a head coach too. Like people caught on to him quick. So that's the thing. What the thing with Chip Kelly is he got like I don't know, a lot of applause because even at Ohio State last year, he improved a lot throughout the season because he really scouts himself. So the Raiders are going to have to bank on him making that same change, going back to the lab and seeing, hey, what's working, what's not. So it's only 4 games, and obviously Geno had a good game last week, but the game was out of hand at that point. So something's got to change. And I know Geno had during his press conference, he said, I'm not playing well right now, and it's gonna get better. So we're gonna see what happens. And I mean, Chip Kelly's got to be better too because he's the highest paid coordinator in the NFL right now. So he's got to figure it out.
He's actually the highest paid coordinator in the NFL right now.
Yeah, offensive coordinator.
Man, that is crazy.
If they don't stop messing around, they're gonna get Brady out of his announcing contract and let him be the OC in like week 10.
He might. Dale, I'll take it to you real quick and look on the other side of things. Right, the Bears are 2-2. Winning is great. Ben Johnson got the win, but I'm sure he's not satisfied with how his offense looked today. Didn't help that the Bears' 2 starting tackles were not available for a majority portion of this game. Caleb was under duress, but you have to be a little bit concerned that through 3 of the 4 games, this offense hasn't been as efficient and as effective as Ben Johnson would like. What are you seeing from the Bears so far to start the year?
I would say, okay, so I know we have 17 games, but technically we're a quarter of the way through the season. And looking at the Lions, now the Lions came out week 1. They had a light bulb raising game, and it's like, okay, well, let's pay a little attention. Let's not necessarily panic, but hey, they're without Ben Johnson. They without both of their coordinators became head coaches. Let's see where this goes. And at least from an offensive standpoint, they've gotten back to doing Lions things. So you send Ben Johnson to Chicago. He has all of the talent. And I would say last week you beat the Cowboys the way that you did. I would say maybe looking at our defense, you should have been even better. Just as far as how sharp you should have looked against us, how efficient, all of those things with how bad the Cowboys defense looks. So they look historically bad. And so I'm looking at all of the talent that you have over there, and I'm just like, what is the problem? Like, what is the deal? The Raiders, clearly, Geno wants you to have the ball. He just keeps throwing it back to you, and he keeps giving you a chance, and he's saying, "What are you doing? I don't want it," and you're not doing anything with it, and that's highly concerning for having not even just. I don't even want to talk about skill players, having a quarterback of that talent and then getting to the skill players around him. That should help bring out all of the talent and put you in great positions with a coach with that mindset that should know how to maximize you. If he can get Jared Goff to the level that he did, what is going on with you? And that's what reminds you that a lot of it, people forget. They see you with the rocket arm, they see you do all these things with your legs, and they forget that up here matters as well. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have it. I'm just saying when it comes to reading defenses, we were talking about composure earlier, things like that. It's like it's something that's just not clicking. It's something that's not clicking. So we are quarter of the way through. You knew that there might be some growing pains, new coach, but I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
by the
think
way,
what were you gonna say,
Romo
Brady?
Romo Dunze stock just keeps going up.
Yeah, Romo Dunze is a wide receiver one for this team. DJ Moore won't be a Chicago Bear. I don't think after this year they can get out of his contract and not lose any money because it's not guaranteed. Won't be a Chicago Bear for long. Cole Kmet was brutal today. Multiple false start penalties, few drops mixed in there as well. Like they got to get Colston Loveland on the field when he gets healthy again. But the biggest problem I think with the Bears right now is that Ben Johnson just doesn't have a running game to make it easier for Caleb Williams. DeAndre Swift is just not that good. I mean, 2.7 yards per carry, and the Bears' offensive line has not been bad. Like Kyle Monungai averaged 4.5 yards per carry and limited attempts, and he also had a hold of a 10-plus yard rush called back as well. So, like, they need to find ways to get DeAndre Swift less touches and see what else they have in this backfield because Swift ain't working.
I've mentioned Tyler Algier. I think that they're going to be big players for Alvin Kamara. I think that Alvin Kamara could. I think he could be a Chicago Bear. If the Saints keep losing like this, there are going to be teams making offers, and the Saints will probably listen. I think the Chiefs are a team to look out for, although I don't know how they do it with their cap situation. I haven't exactly looked at Chicago's financials, but it seems more doable for them. And that is exactly, I know Alvin's not prime Alvin Kamara, but he's still a good, solid player, a definite upgrade over Swift, and he could be used in that role that Ben Johnson made Jahmyr Gibbs so successful with to a lesser extent.
Yeah, and I think to close this conversation on these teams is, the offseason, the Bears are going to get a good running back or two. Like, it just feels like the most important thing this team is lacking. Obviously, the defensive side of the ball is not healthy right now, so I don't think we can make a fair assessment. They definitely need another edge rusher, but the running back is going to be such a big need for them as well. Let's talk about another big game, Eagles versus Bucks. Jalen Hurts had 0 passing yards in the second half of this game. 0. How did they win a game and they still managed to win a game? It is the 2024 Chiefs all over again, to where they just find ways to win, and it's not pretty. It doesn't make much sense at times, but the Eagles are incredibly talented, but there's just real concerns with this team, Brady.
They did that, but they still scored 31. They still scored 31. That's a crazy part.
Somehow.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
Like that's the one difference is like last year the Chiefs were seriously like grinding it out and stuff. Remember, it was such a big deal that they didn't score 30 like all regular season. And the Eagles, I mean, they're trotting out like for their standards, they're trotting out C+ games offensively every week, and they're still hanging out bare minimum 24. It feels like.
I mean, their running game's not good this year, though. I think that's probably like the biggest thing. Jalen Hurts is what he is. He's not an elevator. He's never going to be an elevator. He makes good throws when they need him to make good throws, but he's not like a all-time talent that can carry a team. Saquon Barkley needs to get going again for them. Like
I don't disagree with the fact that Jalen Hurts isn't like an elite guy, but I would give a little bit of pushback here. I think that they need to, Kevin Patullo specifically, needs to let Jalen Hurts do more. Because last week, look at the second half last week against the Rams, and I went back and watched this because someone commented this on a TikTok that I posted about A.J. Brown last week. If you go back and watch the second half of that game, like the TV copy, pretty much every successful play that they had was Jalen Hurts checking out of the call. It was Jalen Hurts coming to the line, making a pre-snap adjustment, calling out something in the coverage, and calling an audible for the routes on the outside. I think that Jalen Hurts for all of his physical deficiencies, where he's not doesn't have the cannon that some guys have. He doesn't have the accuracy some guys have. I think that he's a lot more cerebral than we give him credit for, and I think that the Eagles need to put
I think so.
more on his plate than they have.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
I think with Jalen Hurts,
100%.
right? He plays like he's just the guy that we talk about composure. I feel like that's the word of the show today. Jalen Hurts is not a guy that flinches. He has very good composure when he plays, and that might be his best attribute. Sure, it's not a physical attribute, but having that where he never gets too high, never gets too low, allows the Eagles, who have a ton of talent around him, to always be in games and always, probably be on the positive game script type of things. When this team actually aired the ball out to their two great receivers, they had a lot of success in the second half against the Rams, right? But I mean, there's just weird concern. Like, I think the offensive line injuries too, with like Lane Johnson, 2 straight weeks he's gone down and left the game. A little bit concerning there, but like Saquon's not as efficient as he was last year. It's just more of like a grind out type of thing. And the thing is, with like Nick Sirianni being your head coach, he's not really a guy that is a schematics type guy. He is going to let his offense coordinator control what they want to do most of the time. Sirianni's just kind of there overseeing the operation and trying to motivate the guys. So it's like you're very dependent on Kevin Patullo to come up with the weekly game plan and execute
Yep.
that, and all the guys buy into it. And I think it's their third offensive
Well, I was gonna say
offense coordinator in the last 3 years.
that's where it gets so dicey for them because you have the success that they have, but like you said, the head coach is not the one, powering the machine offensively. He's not an offensive or defensive play caller. So it's like, okay, we're really good every year, but we have to replace the offensive coordinator every year. And it's like a game of Russian roulette. And you're like, okay, well, Shane Steichen, really good. All right, let's move on. Matt Patricia, oh shit, he sucks. Let's go to Kellen Moore. Okay, really good. Oh well, he left. Well, now we're with Kevin Matullo. It seems like he sucks, but it's okay because we have the best roster in the league. So it's like
Yeah, that's
you
it.
can't get rid of Nick Sirianni or anything like that. You don't need to. He's one of the winningest coaches, if not the winningest, at this point, this number of games in their career. But you do need to find some stability offensively. You need a Ben Johnson that's going to be there calling plays for
Yeah.
2-3 years. You need someone that's going to stick around and not just jump ship. But also, it's hard to not jump ship when you're leading an offense that wins the Super Bowl, goes to the Super Bowl, this, that, and the third. But also, I just want to talk about their defense really quickly. I know it got a little shaky at the end there. It felt like they kind of took their foot off of the gas after they were
I think they were
mauling
getting
Tampa
tired.
Bay early on. Yeah, they were on the field a lot, but outside of that huge play by Bucky Irving, they were making the plays they need to. And you can tell Jalen Carter is playing hurt right now. We'll see how he progresses throughout the season, but Zach Bond, still a stud. Cooper DeJean, maybe even better in year two. Quinyon Mitchell has been really sticky in coverage. They've still got plenty of pieces, and it's funny that we'll come on here, and I know the Philly media is probably 10 times worse than us in terms of like complaining they're not playing good enough, and then you look up and they've beat two really good NFC teams the past 2 weeks after beating the reigning AFC champions and also beating a Dallas offense that has been really good to this point. So it's like we're complaining about how the Eagles haven't been good enough, and they're 4-0 and have beat four solid two really good teams. So it's like they're spoiled with what they have over there. Is what I'm getting at.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Eagles are number one until somebody knocks them off. I think, even despite the little holes and cracks this team has, it's nitpicking at this point. And as long as they stay healthy the rest of the season and can get to the playoffs, right, they're going to be the 1 seed. I think.
They have that championship DNA, like we said for Kansas City on the NFC side.
Yep, they have figured out the formula. Let's talk about a team that's trying to get that championship DNA. Dan, I'll start with you. The Los Angeles Chargers lost a game that really felt like a missed opportunity for them. They had that division lead over the Chiefs. Obviously, they have the tiebreaker right now, 2 games up. That lead is now shrunk to 1 with a loss to the Jackson Dart-led New York Giants, 1-0 in his career. RIP Malik Neighbors. Get rid of MetLife Stadium. That turf has to go. We need a different stadium. That field is cursed. But Dan, talk to me about the Chargers' big loss this week.
Yeah, no, it's a big loss. I mean, I don't think anybody had this coming. I sure didn't. I mean, Jackson Dart played well. I mean, I just think the Giants showed up on Sunday with energy. The new quarterback, the stadium was rocking, and it's a tough game. It's a tough game going to the East Coast, 10 o'clock start. specific time for the Chargers, and maybe they're feeling themselves a little bit. 3-0, got to face the Giants who haven't won yet. Maybe, yeah, you never know. Maybe they're feeling themselves. One key of the game that I thought like really changed was Joel Alt got hurt. I forget at one point,
Yeah.
but once he left, the left tackle that came in couldn't block. The Abdul Carter was getting in there quick, and Justin Herbert had no time. So I thought Justin Herbert overall played well. Hampton looked sharp. He had that long touchdown. Johnston again had another touchdown and cover 2 on the sidelines. So I don't think we're worried about the Chargers. I mean, they're not going to win every game. It's a tough loss, and the Giants have a tough front, man. They have a tough front, and they can get after you. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried about the Chargers. I mean, they need Joe Alt though. I mean, I don't know what the injury status is,
High ankle sprain,
but
so we'll see. We'll see with that one.
yeah, they can't afford to miss him because he's a key component on that offensive line.
Yeah, one thing before I hand it off to you, Dale. 41 passing attempts for Justin Herbert, only 12 carries for Amari and Hampton. Once again, the passing to running split for the Chargers is not what it should be under a Greg Roman offense. I'm a little bit concerned about that aspect of it. What do you think, Dale?
Yeah, it's weird to me because you have Hampton, you draft him in the first round for a reason. Because if that was the plan going into the season to have those types of splits, why not draft a receiver? Or why not, draft somebody that or trade it and get somebody that's established, but why not add a pass catcher versus a first round running back? It's like you said, especially with the reputation that you have for fielding these run centric offenses. As for one, as somebody that drafted him in fantasy, I thought for sure it was an easy lock. Hampton going to the Chargers, easy, lock it in. But I'm glad to see him have his best game to date so far. But it's just, I think it was a wake up call as well because okay, you got out to this hot start. Everybody's low key, mumbling on their breath. Is Herbert turn the corner? Is he ready to get MVP? Is he ready for the deep playoff run? You know, and you can say you don't hear these things, you don't see these things, but it's hard not to in the day and age that we live in. So, like you said, you start feeling yourself a little bit. You got the Giants on the schedule. They find ways to lose. You have Dart coming in, rookie quarterback, first start. You have the kind of mess that they have with Russ, and you just got all this stuff going. They lose Malik Neighbors during the game, and you still find a way to lose the game. I understand that, like you said, the guys had some offensive line issues and things like that, but it's just to me, there's no reason that you lose that game. So it's kind of like a wake up call that you're not there yet. You're just not there yet, and you need to go week from week, keep grinding, stay razor sharp, stay focused, because you're not on the Chiefs, the Bills. I don't even think you might be right there with the Ravens because for some reason they just falling apart this year. But yeah, you're not that top, you're not class of the AFC quite yet, and you got out to this hot start. But the Chiefs, they right there. I know we mentioned earlier that they might be in play to take the division. Yeah, you losing games like you
Hey,
did today.
hey, I got a hot take, all right, for everybody,
Ooh.
because the Chargers, look at their schedule. Who they play all 3 games? The
They,
AFC West,
Divisional opponents. Yeah.
all
yeah,
AFC West. So what about all of us thought coming into the season the AFC West is among the best teams? What about if those teams are overrated and then
Mm,
we're inflating their wins?
interesting.
I mean, the
I
Chiefs.
do.
I don't know. I'm just throwing dart right now. It's
I
Yeah,
can,
getting
I
late.
can,
I'm like, hey,
is it pun intended there with the
I
dart?
like that. I like it.
no, it wasn't.
I
Just
do
late.
want to say just real quick with Amari and Hampton, it
We'll find
seems
out.
like sort of similar to what I was talking about with Trevion Henderson the last few weeks in New England. Not maybe as much in terms of volume, but in terms of you're going to see a little bit more of what he can do and a little bit more shine each week as his rookie season goes on. And that's natural for most rookie running backs. But I also think that the Chargers realize now after last week with Najee Harris suffering a season-ending injury, it's like, okay, we wanted to, take a bit of a load off of Amari and Hampton early on in his rookie year with Najee Harris and let Najee get 12 to 13 carries a game, something like that. But now it's like, oh, well, we don't have him. We really don't have a viable number 2. So we're going to have to take it easy on Amari. And the other thing with the lack of carries that he had was they were down for all of this game. At one point, they were down 13 to 3 late in the first half. It's like they kind of had to play catch up, and that requires passing the football. They were getting third and mediums, third and longs. That requires passing the football. And I mean, Justin Herbert, those 41 passing attempts, he was pressured on 21 of his dropbacks today. So the pressure was really bad. It kept putting him behind the sticks, and there weren't really a lot of optimal running situations. To me, I'm not worried about the usage of Amari and Hampton. Like you guys talked about, Greg Roman's the guy that's proved he loves to run the football, and I'm not worried long term at all about Amari and Hampton getting snubbed with his usage or anything like that.
I'll say this before we move on to our final two games of the night. They have Commanders coming up, so we'll see what happens in terms of Jaden Daniels' availability heading into that matchup. It looks like he was close this week, just didn't get cleared, so I expect him to play. That should be a good one. Then you get Dolphins, Colts, Vikings. In that stretch, right? They need to walk away with those games, but because to close the year, they go Jaguars, Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Texans, Broncos. So you have that end of the season schedule that, could be a little bit harder for the Chargers, but
I'm
they
gonna
also
say
get
they're going
Khalil Mack.
3-1. They're going 3-1 again this stretch. They'll be sitting at 6-2 midway.
Yeah, so they gotta find a way to really keep the momentum going because that end of the season schedule is what could catch the Chargers if they don't continue to build on this. All right, let's talk about the final two games of the night and kind of clump them together. AFC South teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts, are all tied up at the top of the division. Now the Colts lost to the Rams. Puka Nakua is just dominant. I mean, this guy every single week, 13 catches, 170 yards, and a touchdown. The Rams were able to take down the Colts. Danny Dimes was okay, had some bad plays, but looked pretty solid throughout the majority of the day. Then on the Jag side of things, Travis Etienne was the X factor in this one. Trevor Lawrence, the passing game, still not going great, but their defense is much better, held the 49ers in check the whole day. Brady, who do you feel more confident in taking the South this year or the NFC West between the Rams and 49ers? So which ones you got winning the South and the West?
I got to stick with my preseason for the AFC South, and that was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, does come with a caveat. I said that the Jaguars were going to win the South with a sub 500 record. Could still happen, but they're sitting there 3-1 right now. It doesn't seem likely at the moment. I had them 8-9 winning the South. I thought this division was going to be crappy. I thought the Colts were going to be really crappy and get the number one pick. I'm already standing majorly corrected on that. And they showed even in a loss today, like they can hang with good teams. Like they're not going away. It wasn't just because of opponent quality that they got up to the 3-0 start. Now, I think that they top out around a 9-10 win team in best case, but I mean they're legit. They've got legitimate weapons. They've got a legit play caller, and Daniel Jones is doing what he's supposed to do. Defense looks improved. But I think the Jaguars, I mean, Liam Cohen, I'm not exaggerating here. I think he's already one of the 10 best coaches. I thought it was a home run hire when they hired him. And the biggest thing is their run game has just absolutely taken off. You saw last year, Liam Cohen had a massive contribution to Bucky Irving surging up as a rookie, a fourth round rookie back out of Oregon, becoming one of the best running backs in the league last year. And that's on a Tampa offensive line that was not necessarily a good run blocking unit and had been really poor in the run game for 3 or 4 years prior to Liam Cohen taking the reins as the OC. So the run game is his bread and butter. They're going to continue to use it until somebody can stop it, which the Niners usually are pretty good against the run, especially with Fred Warner in the middle of the field. I'm going with the Jags to win the South, and I'm really excited. I think their pass offense will continue to come along as long as Trevor Lawrence can keep his head above water. They've got the guys to have an efficient passing game. They're top 5 or 6, I believe, both offensively and defensively in EPA per play right now in the NFL. And the defense is the one that surprises me, but they're looking really, really good. And then the NFC West, it's the Rams. I mean, the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. I think they've got a really easy schedule, one of the easiest schedules among quote unquote contending teams in the NFL. Brock Purdy is getting healthier. He's going to continue to progress throughout the season. Hopefully, no setbacks with that turf toe. George Kittle will be back at one point. Brandon Ayuk, maybe back half of the season, it sounds like right now. A couple setbacks for him. Will be back at some point. If he can play at a good level, Ricky Pearsall has started to take it off. Christian McCaffrey has looked a lot better and healthier this season. I mean, losing Nick Bosa is big. I don't think this team is going to contend to go to the Super Bowl, but they'll be a playoff team. But the Rams are a legit contender. Jared Verse was in the backfield all day today. Puka Nakua, I had him in my preseason rankings as the third best wide receiver in the NFL. He's making a case for first. I wouldn't do it right now, but he's making a case that he's the best guy in the league right now. He's leading receiver across the league, 13 catches for 170 today. He's unreal, and him and Stafford have an even better connection than Stafford and Cooper Cup had at their peak, which is saying a lot. Devontae Adams has looked great there. I mean, Sean McVay, we know he's one of the best coaches in the league. And I really believe in this team to have a chance to make it far. I said it last week on our show. Like, I don't feel discouraged after that loss against the Eagles if I'm a Rams fan. I feel more confident that, hey, we can ride with these guys. Like, we're right on that same level. It's Super Bowl or bust for them. I mean, this could be Matthew Stafford's last year. It's Super Bowl or bust. I got the Rams winning the NFC West. I got the Jags winning the AFC South.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the Jaguars over the Colts as well. I think they're very, very close to just figuring out this passing game. And it kind of relies on Trevor Lawrence and these receivers getting going. Brian Thomas Jr. had a slightly better day today, but I think they're just very, very close to getting this pass game going and making things easier on Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence does not process the field well. He's not the most accurate thrower of the football, right? And the wide receivers have let him down a ton to start this season. But I really like what I'm seeing from the defensive side of the ball in the running game. That makes me feel encouraged that this Jaguars team can take advantage of their schedule and absolutely kind of win some of these games down the stretch. Sure, they got some tough teams mixed in there. Great test against the Chiefs next week. You like games like that are what they should, try to rise up for and see what this team can truly elevate. But like this defense through 4 weeks now has been really good. They've shut down a lot of running games and they've allowed this Jaguars offense, who's been up and down to start the season, to stay in these games, which is exactly what you wanted and not what you thought if you were a Jags fan. You thought the offense is going to be the strength, but the defense might actually be the strength. So the offense actually gets going and, keeps elevating their level. I feel confident in the Jags, and I'm going with the Rams too. I had the 49ers as my pick to win the division in the preseason, but everything changes for them with the Nick Bosa injury, and their rushing offense is their bread and butter, and they can't get it going. It's been multiple weeks now where Christian McCaffrey is under 4 yards a carry, and this rushing offense for the 49ers is not good. I think they found a gem in Ricky Pearsall. He's been really good to start the season, but he's banged up right now, and it always seems like the 49ers just had the most injuries in the NFL. I wouldn't put my money on the 49ers the rest of the season, even if their schedule is so easy down the stretch here. The Rams are just a better football team. Jared Verse, like Brady mentioned, like legit candidate for defensive player of the year this year. Puka Nacua could easily win offensive player of the year this year. Like they have the talent, and they outplayed the Eagles for a majority of that game that they lost last week. They just didn't come up with a win. The Rams are a legit team, man. They're going to be a tough out this year. Dan, I'll take it to you. Which two teams are you taking?
Well, for the AFC South, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the Colts look pretty good today. I know I wanted to see how they performed against the Rams. Sorry, but I mean, what would happen if that guy, that receiver, lost that ball in the end zone? That
Yeah,
flipped the
AD.
game, and then yeah, and then also Jonathan Taylor towards the end of the game, he scored a touchdown, but it got called back for a hold. So I mean, those two things don't happen. The Colts could be 4-0. I mean, they're number one EPA in the NFL right now. So their offense is rolling, and they got the Raiders on deck. But man, I mean, between those two, man, I like the Jaguars too, because the Jaguars are number one in turnover differential in the NFL. So they're playing solid, and I think they're going to give the Chiefs a tough game next week too, at home, Monday night. That's going to be a real tough game for Kansas City. I mean, I guess I'll take the Colts. I'll switch it up and take the Colts. I like their offensive line. I like their run game. Daniel Jones playing well, and their defense is solid. And then the NFC West, is it just those two teams we're deciding, or can I add a team? Because I would,
You're
I would,
thinking Seahawks.
I would like to add Seattle to the mix. I mean, they did play Thursday night. Maybe they forgot, but they're looking sharp right now under Mike McDonald. That defense is for real, and they're currently number one in the NFL in quarterback pressures. So I don't forget about them, because I think they're. I mean, before the year, I thought it was the division's going to come down to the Cardinals and Seattle. That's what I thought, because I just didn't believe if Stafford was healthy. I mean, he didn't practice like all training camp, and then they got his clone out there, and they're performing, and then the 49ers are banged up.
Stafford died weeks ago.
Yeah, so I really like Seattle in the NFC West right now. I think they should be in the lead. I don't know what the odds are, but I think it should be them.
All right, Dale, you're the final one here. Who are you going with in those divisions?
Well, the NFC West, Link, man, I've been listening to you guys talk. Great show, by the way, guys. But no, NFC West, I'm taking the Rams. I feel like I was listening to Dan talk about Seattle, and they are interesting. They are very interesting to me. I feel like people are kind of still sleeping on Sam Darnold. You know, they can't forget about the ghost comment, and maybe we shouldn't, you know, whatever. But I feel like he's playing really well. But I'm gonna take the Rams. I'm gonna take Sean McVay. They said F them picks years ago, and then they won the Super Bowl, and then they retooled. And looking at Puka Nacua, who can stop him? You know, and then you add to the mix Devontae Adams. You add the fact that Matthew Stafford. People look at him and they look at his career in totality, and they say only I think I was looking at his stats the other day. I think it was 3 Pro Bowl. It was either 1 Pro Bowl or 3 Pro Bowl. I think it was one. But it's just the fact that they equate the accolades to how great you are and how just year in and year out he's a dog and he got it and they won a Super Bowl. He know what that feels like now. So I just feel like in that division with the 49ers not running the ball well this year so far, Christian McCaffrey, he, you know, is a volume monster, but he just is just not as efficient so far. And like you guys said, Kittle's out. You coming back, maybe back half of the season is long. Hopefully, no more setbacks and things like that. He comes back and can be the player that we've seen him be. But I just feel like in that division, it's the Rams to lose. I feel like if I had to bet, looking at the quarterback play, ball in your hands, I'm taking Matthew Stafford easily over everybody in the division. So that helps sway me as well. With I love what Sam Darnold's doing. I love the fact that he resurrected his career. But my money on the line, I'm going Matthew Stafford in that division. Switching to the AFC South, I'm looking. The Texans have really honestly disappointed me this year. I would love to know what's going on with CJ Stroud because coming in and playing as well as some of these rookies have been playing, especially the last few years, you're new to the league and people always say, oh, well, we don't have tape. People have tape. They know what you like to do. They know your tendencies. They know, I don't care if it is coming from college or whatever the case may be. They put two and two together. That's what they get paid for.
Bro, it's
So
because he has no O line and D'Amico Ryan hates
yeah,
him. Like, I legitimately think, like, I saw something the other day that something will come out at some point,
Yeah, I
quote
saw that.
unquote, from behind the scenes about this team. And I really think it's that him and D'Amico Ryan do not like each other. Like,
yeah. And it's crazy because I was getting ready for work today and I had Red Zone on and I seen a play of him. Like you said, O line is trash. I don't like to just talk straight down like that about the players and things like that, but the O line is not doing him any favors. And I just watched him scramble out. There's been a lot of talk of what he did in all season to get in the best shape of his life, the best shape of his career, and just watching him scramble around and things like that. He got the first down, and I'm just like he still has it in him to make plays, but it's just something that's just not there. And like you said, obviously the O line being probably the biggest culprit on the field, but it's just weird. But as far as the question, I was thinking about it as you guys were talking about going back and forth. I'm gonna take the Colts. And I kind of look at Daniel Jones and the way that he's playing this year. Why can't he be a Brock Purdy type? Like, I don't need to come out every week and win you the game with my arm. I'm gonna take what they give me because I do have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield toting the rock, and you can't overlook him. But at the same time, I do have playmaking wide receivers out there as well. You know, it's I look at the receiving core and it's like, yeah, they might not be destroying the box score every week, but you do have a Josh Downs, you do have a Michael Pittman, you do have an Adonai Mitchell. You know, you do have Tyler Warren, who I love at the tight end position. I drafted him in my fantasy for you guys that were wondering, and I like what they have surrounded him with, and they put a quarterback, and they after years of looking for a quarterback that on top of knows can execute the playbook, also isn't an older guy that you're wondering if he's gonna retire after next year or fall off a cliff next year. It's I just need you to go out and take what they give you a lot of times. Now, yeah, every now and then we will need you to make a play. And he's athletic enough to get out of the pocket if it breaks down. And he's showing this year that he's not forcing it, he's not pushing it. So you look at what the Giants have going on now, and yeah, they just switched the dart. They dart look good, but it's maybe it was some of the situation. Like, yeah, he's not the best quarterback in the league, but situation matters, organizational structure, and everything matters. So I'm taking the Colts. The Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, I hope he comes into his own. He's looking good. Trevor Etienne, I'm really high on him this year. He looks amazing. That's good to see. After talk of trading him, after talk of would he even be starting and things like that, he's opened the season, is doing really well. But I'm taking Colts, man.
Yeah.
Hey, can I add one more thing here? Just to this is a really hot take of mine because it's hard to imagine either of these teams not having this quarterback next year. And maybe it's not next year, but when Matthew Stafford retires, whether it's after this season, after next season, the Rams are going to go get a good quarterback. And I'm going to say my prediction is that it's either going to be Dak Prescott or CJ Stroud. It's going to be one of the quarterbacks residing in Texas. They're going to get another good one for Sean McVay, and they're going to keep eating.
I like
That
it.
is spicy. That is
Not
spicy.
Dak, but I like it.
Interesting. All right. Well, hey, listen, we really appreciate you guys tuning into our Week 4 post-game reactions. Drop a comment down below what the biggest reaction you took out of Week 4 was. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Angle content. Me, Dan, Dale, and Brady will catch you guys next time on the Blitz Angle.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all later.